9 years after a series of bomb blasts in suburban trains in Mumbai that killed 188 lives, the special Makoka court will be pronouncing the quantum of punishment for the 12 convicts. The court had on September 11 pronounced 12 out of the 13 accused guilty while acquitting one. The accused were convicted for charges under the Explosives Act, Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, Makoka, besides several sections of the IPC. Defence lawyers subsequently examined 9 witnesses to show the court that they have undergone reformation and thus they should not be given capital punishment. The prosecution, on the other hand, have sought capital punishment for 8 out of the 12 convicts, calling them merchants of death. Life imprisonment have been sought for the other 4 convicts. On September 23rd, the court had reserved its order on sentencing in this case for today. Okay, let's go straight now to Mustafa Sheikh, our correspondent. Mustafa, the prosecution has been arguing for death penalty for 8 of those convicts. But what do the defense lawyers have to say about those who have been convicted in the train blast case?
The defense lawyer categorically argued that in 93 blast there were 8 people who were given death sentences, but later when they went to Supreme Court, the Supreme Court said that only the main conspirators of these bomb blasts should get death penalty, and that's how only Yaqub Memon was given death penalty and rest all were given life sentence. So they have taken the same precedence and argued in the Makoka court in Mumbai, saying that only the conspirators, the key conspirators who went and got themselves trained in Pakistan and the people who provided homes in Mumbai to plant those bombs should be given capital punishment. Rest, all the planters should be given life imprisonment. That is what the defense has argued as of now. The court, basically Makoka court judge has arrived in the court, and in any time there can be a judgment on this case. Basically the judge will announce saying that accused number 1 found guilty, punished for death, accused number 2. So it will take some time to get an idea as to who got the death penalty and who all have been given life sentences.
Stay with us. I'm getting in some news. Mustafa, just stay with me. I'm getting in news that death sentence has been awarded to 5 of the accused. That's the latest bit of information that we have, that the special Makoka court has announced the quantum of punishment, and we're just getting some information that a death sentence has been awarded for 5 bomb planters. Mustafa, I don't know if you have this news with you, but this is the latest bit of information that we have received, that death sentence has been awarded to the 5 convicts there. A special court in Mumbai that has pronounced the quantum of punishment for the 12 convicts in the 7/11 Mumbai train blast case. Mustafa, are you there with us?
Yes. Basically, it's in session, so we'll have to see that the capital punishment was asked for 8 people. So whether the 3 who are left have been given life sentence, or whether they also be given that sentence, that would be one thing to see. Also, there are 4 people for whom prosecution had asked for a life sentence. So in that case, also we'll have to see whether all 12 accused, how many people get that penalty and how many people are given life sentence. That would be something we'll have to see what the Makoka court says on that issue.
Okay, I'll stay with you, Mustafa, because we just might, get more details about this. Now, this trial has gone on for 8 long years. Have you had the chance to speak to the families of those who have been convicted, and what, have they been telling you? What are their expectations of the Makoka court?
So the families are not coming on camera or talking to media as of now. They are saying let the quantum come and only then we'll speak. As of now, they are saying they have faith in judiciary. They are saying that these convicts have been there for years and they have been kept in solitary confinement. So basically, they are saying that they have gone through a long torture. So after that, on humanitarian grounds, even if they have been found guilty, there should be some mercy on them, and that they should be given life sentence. So yes, the family of these convicts are saying that that sentence should be avoided as much as possible, and also there is a strong possibility that all these accused will move to the higher courts to against, if they are given that penalty, they'll obviously move higher courts and get it to life sentence.
Yes, absolutely. They do have that chance of, appealing to the Bombay High Court if at all they're given capital punishment, isn't it, Mustafa? And even if the Bombay High Court, uplifts the order given by the Makoka court, then they also have the provision to go to the Supreme Court, right?
Yes, of course, this is what happened in the 93 blast case. There were 8 people who were given capital punishment, but when they moved to Supreme Court, only Yaqub Memon was given that punishment, rest all were given life sentence. So there are these options they will avail, but at this point of time, that's what the defense of these convicts have argued, that rather than going to higher courts and then getting these verdict, the Makoka court should keep in mind that they should give a life sentence. Then we have Vidya with us, who was in the Makoka court. Vidya, what has happened inside the court?
The death sentence has been announced for 5 planters, the people who had planted those bombs. It is for Kamal Ansari, Mohammad Faisal Sheikh, Ehtisham Siddiqui, Navid Hussain Khan, Asif Khan, Bashir Khan. These were the 5 people who had planted these bombs, and the court made, the moment Judge Shinde, the moment he came inside, he informed, he asked these people to get up. He named these people, he asked them to get up. The moment they got up, they said, he said that under these sections, I find you, since you have been guilty, it is appropriate that the death sentence should be given. After that, the pronouncement of judgment for the number of life sentences and other sentences, say some have been given 10 sentence to 10 years to other years, all that is still being given out as yet.
So here's the news that 5 people who are key conspirators have been given death sentence in this case.
Okay, all right, Mustafa. Also, if you can just ask Vidya, what else happened in the court? What was the, arguments from the defense side? What do they have to say? And why 5 people have been awarded death? What about the remaining others? Because in totality, I think the prosecution had been, asking for capital punishment for 8 convicts.
What really happened inside the court, like the people who have, what sentences they have been given?
Well, as of now, the sentences were still being read out. When I came out of the court, the moment the death sentences were pronounced, I immediately ran out of the court. But certainly, the other accused after that were being asked to get up for the further pronouncement of sentences, and it is still continuing as I was getting out of the court some time back.
All the accused were present in the court, and what happened? The judge came in, and then there was Raja Thackeray. Was there any argument which took place in the court? Well,
no, there's no argument. The arguments have long drawn over. The arguments got over last week itself, and the judge, Vaidi Shinde, had kept this for pronouncement of judgment today. The moment he came into the court, he sat in his chair, and the moment he sat, the first thing he did was call out the name of Kamal Ansari, Mohammad Faisal Sheikh, Ehtisham Siddiqui, Navid, and asked them to stand up. The moment they stood up, he said that these are, since you have been guilty, these are the sentences that I think are appropriate, and that there's no mitigating circumstances that I see that can be, overrule this entire sentence. So as of now, 7, at the moment when I came out, there were 5 who were given death sentences.
Okay,
so there have been
detailed
sentences which is going on, but for now.
Yes, just stay with me. Stay with me. I have Mr. L.K. Pandey, who also was one of the victims of those very unfortunate blasts that took place in the year 2006 in the month of July. Mr. Pandey, thank you so much for speaking to us today on India Today. We are getting news that 5 of the convicts have been given death sentence. Your reactions, sir, to this news?
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Pandey?
Yes,
please go ahead.
The Indian judiciary has done what he had decided. I agree with our judiciary.
Do you feel a sense of closure, sir? Do you feel a sense of closure after the Makoka court pronounced this verdict?
I'm not feeling a pleasure because.
No, closure, sir, closure.
Closure. Yes.
आपको लगता है सर कि आपको इंसाफ मिली है after
I don't argument any insaf or any, but I feel that the Indian judiciary is what he have done, the judges is already in favor of the all victims.
Right. Sir, can you just repeat that once?
But I wanted to know about the other persons, like other groups, like media. Media is hype created by the created by the case of Yaqub Menon. Why he has made a hero, and why not create a message our late President Abdul Kalam Azad?
Okay, Mr. Pandey, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your views. You know, the media are not really creating heroes here. We're just stating facts and the news that we have gotten right now is that 5 convicts have been awarded the death sentence. This is the special Mukoka court in Mumbai that has pronounced the quantum of punishment in the 7/11 Mumbai train blast case. So 5 convicts there who have been awarded a death sentence. We still are awaiting more details for the remaining others. Remember, the prosecution had argued for death penalty for 8 convicts. I have with me now the Mumbai Bureau Chief Sahil Joshi, who is now going to give us more information. Sahil, we just have the news right now that capital punishment has been awarded to 5 people. The prosecution had been arguing for death penalty for 8. What about the remaining others?
About remaining others, the decision will come one by one. The decision will be coming, but actually, it looks like that around 8, the prosecution had asked for death penalty for the 8 convicts in this particular case out of 12, because these convicts, according to the prosecution, were involved in the conspiracy. They were also planters. They were also involved in planting the bomb. Bringing this conspiracy, and then with proper thought, with thought of creating terror in Mumbai and in the country, that they did this blast, and because of that, the maximum punishment under NCOCA, that is death penalty, they had asked for that. Out of that, 5 people have been convicted, has been given death penalty. The rest of the judgment we are waiting to hear from the court at this point of time, but. It's kind of a big victory, we can say, for the prosecution, because they finally could get the verdict they wanted from the court. The rest of the people, out of 12, the 4 people, the prosecution had asked for life sentence, because they thought that the punishment, their role in this whole conspiracy is basically abating the crime, abating the conspiracy, or helping these convicts to get the bombs plant and supplying them with the material.
लेकिन जो लोग हैं जो घायल हुए थे सीधे तौर पर कहीं न कहीं उनको जस्टिस मिली है, ये बात भी सामने आई।
नहीं, ऐसा है कि जो असल मुजरिम थे उनको पकड़ा ही नहीं गया, असल मुजरिमों को, बेगुनाहों को फांस दिया गया है।
आप बार-बार इसको लेकर सवाल खड़ा करते रहे कि जिस तरह से तफ्तीश,
हाँ बिल्कुल, हम हाई कोर्ट जाएंगे।
एटीएस की तफ्तीश पर लगातार आप सवाल खड़े करते हैं, लेकिन कोर्ट ने उसको नहीं लिया।
ठीक है, ये अदालत का फैसला है, लेकिन हाईकोर्ट जो है वो उसने बहुत से फैसलों को निचली अदालत के बदल दिया है और लोगों को बाइज्जत बरी किया।
तो अब आगे क्या करेंगे?
हम हाईकोर्ट जाएंगे।
बिल्कुल।
मेरा बेटा नहीं, मैं जमीयत उलमा जो इनको लीगल एड देती है उसका सेक्रेटरी हूँ, गुलजार आजमी।
Okay, we'll try and get in more reactions there, but the family members of the convicts, Sahil, I don't know if you got a chance to hear, but one of the family members there of the convict who has been awarded death sentence, you know, understandably extremely anguished and upset with the Mukoka court's judgment, and now planning to, you know, approach the Bombay High Court.
Yeah, absolutely, because since beginning this case has always been surrounded by the controversies, because after ATS arrested these 13 people in 7/11 blast, Mumbai train serial blast. After that, Mumbai crime branch arrested around 21 people, turning them to be Indian Mujahideen module, which was involved in various blasts across the country. So that time the story came out is that these Indian Mujahideen module was only involved in 7/11 blast. So because of that, a lot of confusion happened in this particular case. So ATS stick to their case, saying that the Indian Mujahideen module is deliberately trying to create confusion so that the investigating agencies do not get the proper culprits in this 7/11 blast case. So because of that, the case got stretched. then the accused who were arrested, the convicts now, who were arrested by the ATS, approached the court saying that they should be relieved from the case because there is one more person who is claiming that the bombs were planted by them and they were unnecessary, they were without any proper details, they have been arrested in this particular case. So the case got stretched a little bit longer. Then the judge changed, and finally when the hearing started happening daily, after that the case actually picked up the speed. So since beginning it has taken a lot of time. Some of the convicts presented to the court that they were not even present in Mumbai or the spot which was claimed by ATS in their charge sheet. So there was a lot of confusion about this case. So because of that, then ATS chief KP Raghuvanshi and his team, right.
Okay, Sahil, just stay with us. We have the former ATS chief KP Raghuvanshi there on the phone line joining us. Sir, thank you so much for speaking to us on India Today. We are just getting in news about the latest, update from the Mukoka Special Court about 5 convicts there who have been sentenced to death for the 2006 Mumbai train blast. Your first initial reaction? Mr. Raghuvanshi, can you hear me? Okay, we'll try to get back to KP Raghuvanshi in just a short bit. But just a quick recap for our viewers right now. The case, the Mukoka court has already pronounced its verdict, death sentence for 5 train bomb planters there. We are still awaiting more details about the remaining convicts and what kind of sentence has been given to them. Okay, 7 convicts have got the death sentence. That is the update that we are getting in right now. This is regarding the train bombings that took place on the 11th of July 2006 that killed 188 people, injuring more than 800. So the latest update there coming in right now. We have with us Sahil Joshi. He has been just updating us with all the reports. Remember, this is still details trickling in out from the Mukoka court, the special Mukoka court that has pronounced the quantum of punishment for the 12 convicts in the 7/11 Mumbai train blast case. Sahil is with us. Sahil, we were talking about the complexities of this case, and I remember that, the Maharashtra ATS stood vindicated after the Mukoka court had pronounced these 12 convicts guilty in the Mumbai train blast case.
Absolutely. In fact, they were expecting that out of 12 convicts, they had asked death penalty for the 8 convicts because these 8 convicts were, according to ATS charge sheet and the witnesses they produced in the court.
Sahil, I'll have to interrupt you there. Apologies for that. But we have right now former ATS chief, Mr. KP Raghuvanshi, now joining us on the phone line. Mr. Raghuvanshi, thank you so much for speaking to us on India Today. Your initial reactions there. 5 people, 5 convicts have been awarded the death punishment in the 7/11 train blast case.
I would say the same thing, that I feel that although we were expecting at least 2 more to be given this punishment, but I am satisfied and happy that the families who had suffered, who lost their lives, the justice has been done to them, and I am happy that the court verdict.
And at the same time, the families of the convicts, they're crying foul. They're extremely upset with this judgment. And they, of course, have said that, this is a travesty of justice. This justice denied to them. And they are now planning to approach the Bombay High Court.
They have all the courts available to them. They can go to High Court. They can go to Supreme Court. Even after, they can go to the President also. But we have total Indian democracy and Indian judiciary. You know it very well. They are mature. And court has appreciated the evidence, then only they have passed such orders.
I remember, Mr. Raghuvanshi, I spoke to you when, when the Mukoka court had pronounced its verdict in the 2006 Mumbai train blast case. And at that time, you said to me that you stood vindicated. You felt that your efforts have been rightly rewarded. If you could just throw some light on that. Why did you feel that at that time?
Yes, because that how that even today, this case was such a case. Then people, the relatives, you said the victim and others, I have read in the newspaper also, that it was a difficult case, and lot of controversies were also sometimes in between they have emerged. But our stand and our investigation, whatever facts we could collect and put before the court as an evidence, that has been found to be correct, that has been appreciated by the court. And the ATS investigation has been upheld by the court, and the stand has been indicated by the court. I am happy, and I am repeating the same thing, and I really feel proud of that ATS team who had investigated that case.
Do you think justice has been served with the pronouncement of the verdict by the Special Mukoka Court?
Yes. I am fully satisfied. I fully endorse. I fully agree.
Also, sir, if I can just take you back to that time, to 2006, if you could just, give us a short synopsis of the challenges you faced during the investigation, because if I'm not mistaken, at that time you were working with a force of only 15 policemen, and there was absolutely no time for you to, clearly crack the case.
That is true. That time ATS was the first major case which came to ATS, and but within no time we got the requisite strength from the Maharashtra police, Mumbai police, and within 2 days, 3 days time our strength was more than 100, and it worked like a complete team. But whatever officers and team they were created, they were dedicated. They did not even go to the home for weeks together, and I'm happy that all their efforts today are paying the dividends.
All right. Mr. KP Raghuvanshi, thank you so much for speaking to us on India Today. So the latest bit of news that we are showing you right now, the Mukoka court has already pronounced the quantum of punishment for 5 convicts in the Mumbai train blast case. Death sentence has been awarded to the 5 convicts there. Senior editor Gaurav Sawant joins us for more on this. Gaurav, I was just speaking to the former ATS chief, Mr. KP Raghuvanshi, and he feels that, his efforts have been rewarded, his team's efforts have been rewarded. He stands vindicated and, strongly feels that justice has been served.
Avantika, I had covered this 2006 July 11 blast, and this was one of the worst terror attacks on Mumbai's lifeline when there were serial blasts that took place. All these terrorists of the Indian Mujahideen and the Lashkar-e-Taiba, they had reached the Churchgate police station. Then they went on to various trains and planted these bombs. And this was one of the worst terror attacks that took place. 189 people were killed. Over 800 were injured in this terror attack. And this was meticulously planned. Pakistan's Lashkar-e-Taiba and ISI, they provided the RDX for this, and 15 to 20 kgs of RDX was used in these blasts, where these bombs were kept in pressure cookers, and they were so powerful that it ripped through. You know how heavy is the metal of a train, of a Mumbai local train. Absolutely. It ripped through the metal of that train, killing over 189 people. So KP Raghuvanshi is spot on where he says justice has been delivered, but it remains to be seen how quickly do wheels of justice take its natural course, because now there is a Supreme Court, there is a presidential pardon, and justice delayed clearly is justice denied in this case, Avantika.
And Gaurav, just talking about those blasts, from arranging logistics for carrying out the bombings to conducting recce of the suburban trains, I mean, the kind of precision the accused had clearly their task cut out.
Absolutely. The convicts in this case, there are 12 men who were convicted in this case, and the prosecution termed them as merchants of death. The convicts were, Faisal Sheikh, Asif Sheikh. They are the ones who planted the bombs in various trains along with other planters like Kamal Ansari, Ehtesham Siddiqui, Naved Khan. The man who made the electrical circuits for these IEDs was Muhammad Sajid Ansari. The man who provided his house to make these bombs, Muhammad Ali. Another conspirator from whom the police seized chemicals was Dr. Tanveer Ansari. So, this was a very meticulously, as you very rightly pointed out, it was a very meticulously planned terror attack by the Indian Mujahideen and the Lashkar-e-Taiba. And, the court was very clear. They deserved no leniency in this case. One man, of course, was acquitted also in this case by the trial court, Abdul Wahid Din Mohammed, Sheikh. He was acquitted in this case, but from Kamal Ansari to Naved to Faisal to Ehtesham Khan and Asif Khan, the planters have been awarded the death sentence.
So what next now? Gaurav, they of course have a lot of options. I mean, first they can go to the Bombay High Court, and if the Bombay High Court does confirm the death sentence, the accused can then appeal in the higher court, which is the Supreme Court.
Absolutely, that is the course of justice, in our country. So these blasts took place in 2006. It's only in 2015 that a verdict has been pronounced by the Special Makoka Court. After this, it then goes, to the High Court, then the Supreme Court, and then the President of India. But that is the nature of the legal system in this country, and criminal justice system is the way it is. But what is very clear is that we have to wait for the reasoning why death sentence was awarded. 189 innocent Mumbaikars, 189 innocent people were massacred by these terrorists in a very well-planned terror attack. And that is why the court in its wisdom has awarded the death sentence to the planters, Avantika.
All right, we also have with us Mumbai Bureau Chief Sahil Joshi. Sahil, you've been tracking this case so closely. You even had the chance to speak to, the former ATS Chief KP Raghuvanshi, whom I just spoke to. Can you just take us through the kind of challenges, the investigations had to see? Because I remember even the Supreme Court had stayed the trial at one point. So if you could just throw some light about this case, and especially the ATS, the Maharashtra ATS role in the Mumbai terror blast case.
That time the Maharashtra ATS was new and it was newly formed. KP Raghuvanshi was the first ATS chief, and ATS was formed because of the growing terror threats to Mumbai city as such. So for them it was a big challenge, because as soon as the ATS was made, they were still under kind of a training, and during that these blasts happened, and after that suddenly for next around 1 to 2 months they had no clue that how this has happened. So when they started arresting people, the first problem started happening when it happened actually after 1 or 2 years, because Mumbai Crime Branch, the Joint CP under leadership of Joint CP Crime, then Rakesh Maria, who was earlier Mumbai CP as well, he arrested around 21 people as new Indian Mujahideen module, and they claimed that they were the one who were involved in the 7/11 blast. By the time the ATS had already filed the charge sheet, they were already preparing the charge sheet, and in that case they had mentioned that some of the planters were Pakistanis and they left to Pakistan, and they did not know from where they are, and Azam Chima has been made the main conspirator. They also claim that these people who were arrested by Mumbai police have the ATS have received training in Pakistan, and they were hardcore LET members in working in Mumbai. They were working as a sleeper cell. They also created the whole charge sheet by saying that Muhammad Ali in Muhammad Ali's house in Ghatkopar, they made these bombs. They used pressure cookers in the bombs, how the timer was used and how the bombs were kept. So the whole theory was made, but it was challenged after the Indian Mujahideen module was busted by Mumbai Crime Branch in 2008. So within next 2 years, everyone started suspecting the investigation done by ATS that particular time. So it was a tremendous pressure on ATS to prove in the court that their investigation is separate. There is a possibility that the Indian Mujahideen people who are by Mumbai Crime Branch are deliberately trying to create this situation, create this confusion. So finally, then Home Minister R.R. Patil had to come forward and clarify that these two are different cases. That time Jayant Patil was the Home Minister. He had to come forward and clarify that these two are different cases. So when they got the conviction out of 13-12, so it was a big boost for ATS officers who were working that time under KP Raghuvanshi. But most importantly, now this particular verdict will definitely be challenged in the High Court, and it will be a difficult task for ATS team to get this conviction stamped in the High Court as well. Even the sentences which has been given, because they had asked for 8 death penalties, but they have been given only 5 death penalties who were actual planters, and the bombs were made in Muhammad Ali's house, so even he has been given death penalty. So only 5 people have got death penalty. Remaining people have got the life sentence. So it's likely that this, it's definitely that this particular judgment will be challenged in the High Court. It will go till Supreme Court. So the legal fight is still on. But yes, because in the lower court, in the trial court, they have got the conviction. So it's a kind of a big boost for ATS theory in this particular case.
Okay, just stay with me, Sahil. In fact, speaking of that judgment and the options now for those who have been convicted and who have been given death sentence, we will, of course, hear from Gulzar Azmi now, who's the secretary of the Jamaat-e-Ulama. In fact, he also is a person who provides legal aid to the convicts. Just listen in to what he has to say.
जो असल मुस्लिम थे उनको पकड़ा ही नहीं गया, असल मुस्लिमों को बेगुनाहों को फांस दिया गया है। ठीक है, ये अदालत का फैसला है, लेकिन हाई कोर्ट जो है वो उसने बहुत से फैसलों को निचली अदालत के बदल दिया है और लोगों को बाइज्जत बरी किया।
Okay, let's go now straight to more reactions coming in. We have Mr. A.N. Roy, who joins us for now. Sir, your initial reactions on that judgment that has been given out by the Special Mukoka Court.
Well, I am. My first reaction is that I am satisfied that a very difficult case, this cowardly act of these 7 serial bomb blasts in which 188 people lost their lives, more than 800 people were injured, so many families got destroyed. They suffered for 9 years and more, but there have been at least some sense of justice to them, some sense of closure, of a beginning of a closure for them. That 13 people who the investigation and prosecution team had put for trial, 12 of them got convicted and 5 of them today have got death sentence.
So you're the former Mumbai Police Commissioner. You know, in that capacity, are you satisfied with the judgment today? Because the prosecution had asked for, you know, a more number of people to be awarded capital punishment, but now the news is that 5 convicts have been given death sentence, while the others have been given life imprisonment.
Yes, prima facie, I am satisfied with the judgment at the moment. The prosecution had demanded death sentence for 8 of the 12 convicted accused. 5 have been awarded death sentence today. The remaining have been awarded life imprisonment and other sentences. These 5, I presume, don't have the judgment before me, but I presume these 5 are those who actually planted the bombs. You know, among the 13 people we had prosecuted, only 5 were the actual planters. The remaining planters were not, could not be arrested by then. And hence the 5 planters, I presume, have been awarded the death sentence. Others have been awarded varying degrees. Only after we receive the written judgment and we analyze that with the help of the special prosecutor, we will be able to take a call whether we need to take any further action in this regard regarding any appeal for enhancement of punishment.
All right. Mr. A.N. Roy, just please stay with us, sir, because we also want to get in some questions from my colleague and our Mumbai Bureau Chief, Sahil Joshi. Sahil, please go ahead.
Mr. Roy, first of all, congratulations, because actually Mumbai, as a Mumbai police chief, that time it was quite a tough task for you to solve this case. And after that, when the questions were raised, especially in 2008, when the Indian Mujahideen module was arrested, and some of the Indian Mujahideen members claimed that actually that was the module who was responsible for 7/11 blasts, not the people arrested by the ATS that time. How much difficult it was to convince the court that it was not Indian Mujahideen module, but the people who have been arrested by ATS under KP Raghuvanshi are actually responsible for 7/11 blast?
You see, in a fact does not need convincing. Yes, we had to produce the correct fact, the correct material, evidence, etc. before the court. But it was very clear that the accused arrested and prosecuted in 2006 were the right accused. And today, after these 9 long years of trial and all the efforts made by the defense and the accused themselves, have all been established by the court that the version the investigation team did was the correct one. And hence, I don't need to elaborate more on this. This whole issue of this Indian Mujahideen person making some claims, who later denied himself. He was arrested by the ATS team also to verify his claims. He completely denied. He was produced before a magistrate where he denied again. And during this 7/11 trial itself, the defense side produced him as a witness. He was fully examined before the court, and the court has given a final verdict. And hence, this controversy must rest.
Right, sir. But despite that, the relatives of these convicts are claiming that the call data records of some accused contest the ATS claim that they were not even at that particular location. So they are saying that they will be, of course, approaching the higher courts in this particular case. Are you confident that the same charge sheet, the same evidences, and the same case will hold in the High Court as well, and even in the higher courts, because it's likely that it's going to be a long legal battle even after the trial court's judgment?
Yes, the call data records got produced in the court on the request of the defense side, and they have been thoroughly examined by the court. They elaborately detailed and discussed and argued over, and hence the judgment has come even after that. I am sure you will find mention of all of this in the detailed judgment itself. Definitely the accused have their full legal and constitutional rights for all avenues of appeal, and I'm sure the case will go to the highest court in appeals. All the appeals, they must take all their opportunities to be able to defend their case, and so be it will be a long battle, it's fine, but I am confident, as we were right from the beginning, that this will, the verdict will prevail.
Sir, last question. In your charge sheet also you had mentioned, the ATS had mentioned that the Pakistani involvement in this particular blast. In fact, it was mentioned that some of the planters were Pakistani nationals and the ATS could not lay their hands on these Pakistani nationals. What you can elaborate on that, because you knew the investigation. Who was involved from Pakistan in this particular blast, and these convicts, it was also claimed that they were trained in Pakistan. So again, the theory that these particular accused are trained on the foreign soil in the Pakistan, and Pakistan's involvement had again come to the light.
Yes, we have mentioned it in the, we found it during investigation, and we have mentioned it in the charge sheet itself that 7 of these accused were trained in Pakistan. Many, all of them almost confessed in the during their confession statements. That it has all been established based on other material as well. One of the Pakistani planters had died in the bomb blast itself, and we have mentioned, as we came to know the names of the Pakistanis involved in that, the names could be even, they could have multiple names, some names could even be false, because these are the names transpired during the investigation. So we have mentioned names, 11 Pakistani nationals who were involved in this entire blast incident, including their the leader of the operation, Azam Chima from Pakistan. All this has been mentioned in the charge sheet. As and when they are arrested, they will also be put to trial.
Thank you, sir, for speaking to us, and congratulations to you, because finally under your leadership, the team, the new ATS team formed that particular time, finally could get the conviction today, and even the sentence they wanted today. So Avantika, this is the case where finally ATS can claim that their first investigation in the blast case was successful, and because of that...
Whatever you want,
okay, just stay with
please don't shout. Hello. The thing is that the court has convicted all the accused. 5 of the
मगर हम डिफेंस एडवोकेट, मैं इतना कह सकता हूं, जैसे अभी दिन का उजाला है उसी तरह वो लोग इनोसेंट है।
ये बात आप कोर्ट में साबित, तो क्या इस फैसले को आप हाई कोर्ट में चैलेंज करेंगे?
ऑफ कोर्स, एंड ऑफ कोर्स वी आर 100% श्योर दैट विल गेट एक्विटल। दे आर एज इनोसेंट एज ऑल ऑफ यू।
Mr. Sharif, the convicts have been writing to the families of the victims of the 7/11 train bombing.
Yeah.
In fact, Mr. Ehtisham, we believe, has written to the Home Minister again, saying that the case must be re-investigated by the NIA.
Yeah.
Can you tell us why?
Because they are being innocent. They are innocent. Therefore, they are approaching. They are approaching. They are also the victim of the 7/11 blast. They have not their accused. The ATS has misled the court. The court has committed the mistake. We cannot say that the court has erred, but the court somewhere committed the mistake. Court has not tried to find out the truth before the ATS officer. What the ATS officer has planted witness, concocted statement. Is it possible to all the, you know, in terrorist cases it is very easy to frame any person. Even you all can be framed by putting a single eyewitnesses who is having the link with the ATS or the crime branch, or a regular punch witness. On the basis of those evidence, we have been convicted.
But Mr. Sharif, it's taken 9 years since the blast itself, and the trial went on for so long. You had ample. There were many lawyers, including you, who argued on behalf of the accused who are now convicts in the case. There was enough opportunity to present, including mitigating circumstances, witnesses.
We have produced all the things. Whatever the
didn't believe the case that you put out.
The thing is that whatever the efforts the accused did, whatever the efforts the advocates did, whatever they could do, they did it. They produced before the honorable court that all the witnesses, alleged eyewitnesses, are the planted eyewitness. They are having the link with the ATS officer. What more you want? What more you want?
But every legal avenue available during the trial phase,
are not complaining that the opportunity has not been given. We have been given the opportunity, but the evidence, the appreciation of evidence is not proper, and will challenge the order in the High Court. And my team is 100% sure that we'll get an acquittal, not the question of the death sentence. All the innocent boy will get an acquittal.
Okay, so the defense lawyer there who is absolutely confident of getting an acquittal. He is, of course, speaking on behalf of the 5 people who have been sentenced to death today for planting bombs on Mumbai's local trains in July 2006. Remember, 7 of the 12 men who were convicted for the train blast have been awarded life sentence there. So now those who have been given the capital punishment would be approaching the Bombay High Court. That's going to be the next step. We'll continue to get you more news and updates on this story as it is breaking.